I want to talk about default parents for a second, because I think there's a lot of confusion right now about what a default parent is. Because some people think default parent means the parent the kids want, or default parent means they're the stay-at-home parent. And it's not those things. I even heard somebody last week say, oh, I don't like the term default parent. I prefer the term lead parent. Well, they're two different things. Being a lead parent means you've signed up for it. You've raised your hand. You've stepped into that role, and you have some sort of authority and empowerment in making a decision to be the lead parent. When you are a default parent, it means you are the default, not intentionally. It's not as though you signed up for it. You just became the default for certain things. And this does not mean that the default parent is the stay-at-home parent. It does not mean they're the kid's favorite parent. It means they are the default person to be responsible for the things that the kids need. And I have a really good example of this. I was talking to a friend last week. Her husband took their son to a baseball clinic. He came home and his shoes were in the garage. And she said, why are his shoes in the garage? And he said, oh, he stepped in a big mud puddle. And she said, okay, fine. So they were out there covered in mud. A week goes by. And the husband does not do anything about the muddy shoes. Mind you, the son needs these shoes for baseball this week. He does nothing about these muddy shoes. And so they're covered, like caked in mud, cannot wear them again because this is indoor baseball. It's the winter time. And so she sees this the day before baseball practice and goes, okay, I'm going to wash those. So she washes them, and then they're not dry in time for baseball practice. And her son's complaining and going, Mom, why are my shoes not dry? How come they're not clean? Mind you, he's like 5. It's not on him. And the dad's like, oh yeah, like why aren't they dry? The dad was with the son. The dad took off the muddy shoes. The dad left the shoes in the garage. The dad did nothing about it. He defaulted to his partner doing it. He expected her to do it. And this is so often what happens when you're the default parent. You either are expected to be accountable for everything that happens in your house, and or you are expected to delegate and ask and remind people. So she could have said, hey babe, do you mind washing his shoes so they're not muddy for next week? Hey babe, it's Wednesday and his practice is on Saturday. Do you mind washing his shoes so they're ready for baseball? Or she could do it herself. That is what it looks like to be the default parent. That's not the same thing as being a lead parent, right? And that's not the same thing as being a stay-at-home parent. She works full-time, and yet she still is the person accountable to these things. And this is the thing that drives me crazy about this conversation, because oftentimes people will be like, oh, well, if you didn't want to be the default parent, then just don't do it. Okay, well, someone has to. Someone has to. So how about instead of saying that to the default parent, we say to the other parent, hey, it's time to step up. You were the one who took your son to baseball. You were the one who saw the muddy shoes. You were the one who pointed out that the shoes were muddy. Clean them. Clean them. That is what it's like being the default parent for every little thing that has to do with your kids. You are the default for doctor's appointments. You are the default for school to call. You are the default to make lunch. You are the default when somebody forgets their homework or whatever. You are the default for everything. You are the person who knows where the favorite sweatshirt is. You are the default, not because you wanted to, but by design, because your partner has not stepped up in a meaningful way. And so when somebody says, I'm the default partner, don't come to them and say, you should say lead partner. It's more empowering. Well, it is empowering if you decided to be in that role. It's not empowering if somebody's taking advantage of your time.
So let's talk about the default parent phenomenon. I did a video a while ago. Check it out. I might link it on the struggle, especially of parenting and being able to manage the mental labor that comes with children, especially when we talk about default parents being the mom. For some reason, I think society has just accepted that majority of us women will be the default parent. So whether it's the school is calling, your child is sick, appointment, conferences, figuring out your child what the favorite color is when you're buying clothes. Nobody's like, hey, what's the child favorite color again? Sporting activity, taking them, signing them up for camp, signing them up for classes, signing them up for college, making sure the college prep is being done. If you have a kid who is getting close to that, making sure they're prepping well, checking their grades, being in connection with the teacher. You are the one sending the emails, the reminders. You're the one doing it all. You're the default parent. When that child is sick, you're the one who calls out from work to be home. I had to lather my skin because I have such dry skin. And I found salt hair. So good. Oh my God. Smells amazing. And this oil keeps my skin so moisturized while I deal with being a default parent. This is another way to soothe myself and I massage my lymph nodes, dealing with the stress of being a default parent. Are you a default parent? especially if you're dealing with a parallel parent, a co-parent who is high conflict, who has difficult personality. Are you defaulting to be the one that your children automatically relies on? It's not because you choose to, but that's how the dynamic has become. And the burnout with it can be so real. So default parent is the one that is the go-to with all the calls, the emails, the texts, the signing up, the reminders, the going, the heavy labor, the moving parts, all the day-to-day with the children, with their favorite things, with their activities, their appointments, when they're sick, when they wake up in the middle of the night, they come to you as the default parent to comfort them. They look to you to play with them, to feed them, and even if you want them to go to the other parent, it's with a lot of like a lot of effort to get them going. Are you a default parent? What has been your experience like being or trying to not be a default parent? Share in the comment below and let me know. Okay, bye.